One. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Graybeards. My name's Wayne, and to my left over here is my good
One of
friend
these days, one of
Bud.
these days. Actually, you should do like this because I'm below you.
On yours, you belong, but I'm the one. I'm doing the recording, so you're over
I know, I know.
there. Well, we have an interesting episode for you. It's really a show about nothing this week.
Yeah, I
Really, it
like
is.
it.
We sat there for the last, I don't know what, I've been on the phone
45 minutes.
45 minutes or so talking about just a lot of
Man,
stuff. Random, very random show this week. Um, if our show is never really random, it's always kind of we sometimes have a good topic that we want to talk about, but we never prepare. Just rambling on what we do all day. A couple of things.
yeah.
So I was talking to Bug earlier this week. We had a couple of days where we were talking about I want to do if I could write a screenplay about our office and Bug's office environment
Hmm.
and stuff that he does. It just is funny. It could be the hilarious show. It wouldn't be. I wouldn't put it on the same level as say The Simpsons or uh, Family Guy or whatever. But it would be. It would be the most hilarious thing. The things that he does is just. It's hilarious. We
Yeah,
had a good laugh.
fun.
Me and Kyle and you were talking about it, and it's just
It's amazing. What's funny to me is what you guys see is hilarious to me.
mhm.
The way you guys like this dude is just strolling through life, like
Oh yeah, I'm telling
that's
you.
funny to me. It's like, wow, this is crazy.
Well,
This is crazy.
we have our, we talk about how when you leave work, it's like you leave work at work, right? And it's
You
like
wanted a
when you
book?
walk, yeah, you make that
It's
stroll
a book
from
on
the
the shelf.
building. Yeah, when you leave the building, you're just like strolling. It's like I'm walking on sunshine. Oh yeah. It's just that's what we perceive, right? This is his life. We know it's not fully like that. We all, intimate details of what goes on in a bug's life. That's what we would call the show.
June bugs laugh, right?
We would say
Yeah.
a June bug's life. And we think it's
Mm.
like he just walks around. Yeah, I got you. No problem. I can take care of it. Whatever. He's like he is the I don't know what's you're the main problem solver for your family. It seems like they all come to you. Ernie, I screwed up. I need you. I need you. Can you lend me some money? Can you come and help me do this for me or whatever it is, right? I don't know the details, but it's
You
always
know, being the Lone Ranger is hard, bro.
I know, man. It's like you strolling up in there with your big cowboy, what was
Yeah,
it? The Lone Ranger with um,
yeah. There's a lot of truth in what you said, man. My oldest daughter, she was like, "Daddy, I know you like to save the day sometimes, but then this one don't." I was like, "Don't worry about me saving the day, out there."
yeah.
You know what I'm
Well, I
saying? So,
mean, some people have it in them to be
mhm.
um, whether by design or default or what have you, there's always going to be that a lot of times there's a person in the family or persons that are the uh, that always, in perspective wise to the rest of the family, this person's got it all going on. However, he got it or she got it. This person's life is in order. They got blah, 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 blah. I know if I need help, I'm calling them. I'm calling her, or I'm asking or talking to. Right? Every
Mhm.
family has that person.
Hey, that's you. As you too. You know what I'm saying? You know, a lot of them. I know you're shaking your head, but
No,
yeah, don't let that thing you see on his face, that scowl that I'll never help you. You're gonna drop. That look at you. No, dude. I've
I
come to Wayne so many different times, and he saved me so much freaking money. You
that
know what I'm
with
saying? Like, with my vehicles, lawnmowers,
uh,
different things. Yeah.
but you
Once you get to know, it's like,
yeah, but
yeah.
that's because you know when you sit and think about that,
Hmm.
right? I was able to help you, however it was, right? But you would still. I know that I know that I put money towards this. I know there's somebody out there that's going to help me, right?
Yeah.
You just
But
happen
like
to
I said,
stumble, and
you saved me money.
even though
You're
I've
like, dude, you can.
known you for probably 25 or plus
Yeah.
years,
But not like this. You just saw me.
I did.
I don't know.
I knew you more than you knew me because you
That's
were
your
that
job,
guy.
though.
You would, anytime we talked, you were like, "Hey, what's up, Wayne? What's going on?" And we always had good conversations, but our worlds were not intertwined as they
Yeah.
are now, right?
That's a fact. Hmm.
You know, God had a path for you to stumble through, and like the rest of
Hmm.
us, tripping and falling on our face, you get to
Hmm.
make you the person you are. And
Hmm.
people don't see that, right? They don't see the trials and tribulations that you went through because
Yeah.
you don't walk around with this big storm cloud over your head. You choose not to dwell on those
Hmm.
bad things that happen to you.
Hmm.
You're not walking around going, I mean, you think about um you you I was teasing you what Friday I think it was, that how
Hmm.
long you had been you how the Air Force put you at the air base that we were at
Hmm.
in the 80s and basically forgot about you until the year before they made you retire from the Air Force.
Hmm.
They've literally forced your hand, right? Yeah. But I mean, that's a choice, right? That was something because
Yeah.
you were like, life is good. I'm not want to change anything. And I
Hmm.
get that. A lot of people are like that, myself included. I'm not one for I've had a few jobs in my time that I could, and where some people have had a couple more jobs than they can count in one, 10-year period. I'm not
Hmm.
that guy. I'm not a big gotta have change all the time.
Hmm.
Um, hence I have my truck, I've had it 20 years. My Tahoe, I've had it 19,
Hmm.
the little black car. I got an update. Hopefully I'll share with everybody when I
Really? I
remember,
can't wait to hear that.
but there's always, we were talking earlier, we were just talking random stuff like what happens when
Mm-hmm.
you talked about, you saw a funeral procession, right? And you thought about
Hmm.
that person, but you were like, oh, I got to do this yard,
Hmm. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
when you,
And yeah, exactly. Like, man, what the heck, dude? But I mean, that kind of shaped my persona, if you will, right?
mhm.
It's like I'm like that. I watch a lot of animal shows, right? And a lot of times these predators, they'll catch a zebra or wildebeest or whatever, and they'll devour that thing, right? I'm the
Uh,
one that got away, okay? And that's why I'm like, man, that thing almost had me, bro. I'm I'm happy, okay? It almost got me. And there's been a lot of those type of situations. So, or I've seen that those predators devour other, creatures. So I'm just happy that I'm alive, you know,
oh,
and I
absolutely.
try to make the best of it. I mean, if I'm not dead, I'm doing good. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the secrets. And then another thing too, this you see this guy here? This guy that's walking out that tomb. He got his hands back, like I ain't doing that again. Okay, all right. You
Oh yeah.
better get it. So because of belief that that guy's real, Because that's my biggest fear. That was my biggest fear. You know what I'm saying? Death. You know what I'm saying? Like, shucks. And I've been responsible for killing a lot of things until this voice told me, like, yo, bro, you're gonna be one day you're gonna be like them dudes. And it just terrified me.
How's it going? It's
So,
like you get that look.
hey, Wayne does that now, dude. You talking about a story? We need to do him. This dude is so funny. He keeps me laughing. He's hilarious. The most Wayne. This dude takes pleasure, man. From my perspective, right? That would be your character. You just see him among other turmoil. Now, this is the thing about Wayne. He will laugh at you, right? But he will help you too. He was like, man, this dude is over here. He is tangled up in this yarn. Wait, no, wait. Let's see how long.
Let's see us. Let's see how this plays out. Yeah, but I
Oh my
got
God,
that.
that is too funny.
Well, when you think about it, right? I was not always that way. I would always jump in with my 2 cents, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And then people
Hmm.
would get mad because I would jump in with my 2 cents, and I'd be like, all right,
Hmm.
fine, do what
Okay,
you
let it
want to
happen.
do. I'll
Yeah.
be here when you need my help.
Raise your hand.
Yeah, I'm over
That's
here.
that's
Yeah.
wisdom. Yeah, that's wisdom. You're
And then
right.
they sit
I,
there and I tell you, people get mad because they know they got to say it. Go ahead and say
mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Go
What's
ahead.
wrong?
No, the other word, the other way.
Was it?
You
There we
were
go.
right. You
He
were
was
right.
right.
That's probably the you were right. Three most painful words that they that they have to say to me. Now, I admit when I'm wrong, and a lot of times I usually don't give my input unless I'm pretty sure that
Hmm.
you were right.
Hmm.
That's the most painful words they say, and it drives them nuts. And they have a disdain for saying, right?
You're like, come on. Come on, Papa.
I'm like, I tried to tell you because
Yeah.
you lay in there, you have now destroyed what I could have helped you fix or stop you from doing something. Now it's going to cost you more
You
money.
know
It's
what
going to,
though? Even that is a cure though, Wayne. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Yeah, it's a cure. I mean, it's a good thing that you allow an individual to try to solve their problem and fail. It's a good thing.
yeah,
I think it's not bad. And then, you come out and you still help them anyway. I think that's excellent. It's like raising your children, you know? And
yeah.
we briefly
Sometimes
talked
you got
about
to
that.
let them fail to
You
learn a
gotta let them
lesson
do it.
because a lot of times
Yeah.
it has more meaning. They'll remember the failure
Yeah.
long before
Hmm.
they remember that dad gave them the answer or Wayne told them.
Yeah.
And I don't
I've learned
pretend to
to,
know. I don't pretend to just jump in and talk like thermodynamics or anything that I don't have the information about. But I'd be like, hey, maybe I can help you figure out the
mhm.
issue and get
Yeah.
you on the right path. I don't know, and I will tell people that all the time. I tell them, I say, you
Yeah.
look at your truck with your transmission issue when you were asking me. I know about transmissions and I know symptoms but I don't do transmissions because they're very complicated.
Hmm.
Manual transmissions are even somewhat complicated, but I've dabbled in those um, over in years. But I know my limits, right? I know, I know what I can and can't do. But
Yeah.
it doesn't keep me from trying, and
Hmm.
that's where a lot of people, we were talking earlier about how your advice and how what makes sense to you may not make sense to somebody else. And I
Right.
have that issue myself.
People
Um,
just driven by their desire. We was talking about the kids and stuff like that. Sometimes like my youngest daughter, she's driven purely by desire of what she wants to do.
yeah,
And if I'm saying to her, like, yo, there's consequences behind that. No, no, they're not. I don't see anything wrong. I remember one time she said to me, I said, hey, I don't want you going over there in that neighborhood. She was like, why? I was like, because you could get killed. And she said, you can die anywhere. I was like, now dang, that was profound. I
It
said, you're
was.
right.
It is
I said,
profound, but it's also just deflecting the true issue.
she was driven by desire. She wanted to go over
Yeah.
there with something over there that she wanted. So I says, well, this is what I like to do. I use real life situations, right? So I said, okay. He says, you're right. I'm going to give you credit where credit's due. You're right. You can't die anywhere. I said, but do you remember saying to me you was a little bit apprehensive about joining the military because you might get killed? And so do you
Mm.
remember that? I said, then let's apply your logic. You can die anyway. Okay. So
Yeah.
why the apprehension about going in the military? You can die anywhere. You can die in your bedroom. You can die outside. You can die on the porch. You can die in the military. What makes, oh, there's more likelihood of me dying? I said, that's what I'm trying to tell you. There are greater chances of getting killed over there. They're greater than being
Facts.
killed over here. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. So don't
Yeah.
be hitting me with this little, you playing checkers with somebody that plays chess, okay? So don't do that.
But you just put yourself when you say that, right? When you say you want to play checkers with someone that plays chess. Two different
Mhm.
games, dude. Can't compare apples and
But
oranges
one
like that.
requires more thought. Yeah,
Does it though?
it does. It does because you got more moves and stuff like
Well,
that. You see,
checkers,
yeah, I've never seen checker, but I've seen checker players do this.
yeah,
But it's
because they're
usually about 2 minutes, okay? But these chess
sure.
dudes, they might sit there for like 45 minutes. Shucks.
Well, they have a timer. They got the little timer thing that they gotta.
Yeah.
They
But they
only have so
criticize
much
those guys
time.
that do that.
They
Yeah.
they do only have so much time per move, though.
Yeah. It's a lot more in checkers now.
But
You know what
you're
I'm
absolutely right. The game is more complicated. There's moves,
saying?
there's counter moves,
Hmm.
and when they make certain moves.
Yeah.
But checkers too has the same
There's
thing, right?
something you got there's some thought behind it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, if you
But her
leave your
logic
checkers in
was,
a certain spot where they can go, deep, 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 you know,
yeah, exactly. And depends on the rules. Some people don't believe in back jump. Some people don't believe the king can fly across the board. All that kind of stuff. There's different. The Southern checkers, man, not to get too deep into that, man. The way we play, you could jump forward and backwards. Your king can fly across the board and kill somebody. All
mm.
that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
They
But
just got to establish those rules, right? You
hmm
know what
yeah,
rules, and that's the rules in life. Everybody has different rules, and those kind of things, right?
that's facts, man. That's facts. But yeah, a Junebug's live, huh? Yeah,
Yeah,
we
but
need to
as
start production.
it's just the things he does, and we tease him about his bubble shoes that he wears. I know
I've
people are
never had
going
so much
grief over
scrutiny in
shoes.
my entire life.
Well,
These
that's
members
because
know
why? I
everything.
think because it's not. Don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying they're ugly shoes or anything, but they just stand out because they're all white and they got the clear bubble things, right? And they make you look like you're wearing sloped shoes. They make your feet look like you're walking on your tippy toes everywhere.
It does. My
Yeah.
calves are huge right now.
But yeah, it's just it's like those. Remember, I don't know if you ever seen Seinfeld, if you ever watched Seinfeld,
I watch it every once in a while. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
but what was the goofy guy? Kramer. Was it Kramer?
Okay,
Yeah, he had got these weird looking shoes, right? They were supposed
hmm
to help you with your vertical jumping and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And
hmm
they were the goofiest looking shoes. And I'm not saying your shoes are not that style. It's
hmm
obviously it's not a style for me.
Yeah.
But it's just like, oh my God, it's just the way they make, because they do look like they're like a wedge, I guess. If you,
Yeah. Yeah, they are. They like a wedge. They look like that. They kind of
yeah. And but
but
you got black,
they're
but you never
comfortable.
wear the black ones. How come you never wear the black one?
Well, they're not as they're slightly different. There's a little difference. Those that you're talking about walking on that sunshine. Those bubble shoes. They're pretty comfortable, man. You know what I'm saying? So
Well,
they
that's the thing that I got that and track with,
yeah.
So
The black ones not so much. I mean, they cool and black saying they go with just about anything. So, bubble shoes, I can, hey, I
So
don't
they're
really,
not just, they look very similar. They got the
yeah, but they're
bubbles
not,
in the
yeah,
back too,
they
don't
got
they?
bubbles, but they don't give you that lift or whatever. There's something wrong with my feet. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, yeah, I know you have some
so
physical.
yeah, but yeah, and if it ain't the bubble shoes, it's the it's the zip up boots. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
your floor
They're like,
shine
oh,
zipper
you got the
boots,
zip
yeah.
on boots.
And
Hey,
the only
let's
reason
have it.
those are, and there's nothing wrong with the shoes. Don't get me wrong. You wear whichever you like. If you like them,
Oh yeah,
it's just that
mm,
we act like we're school kids sometimes. Teasing everybody.
definitely.
The we were
Uh,
talking about how how I would do your character right. If I was able to write a screenplay, I would
mm,
about, I guess you call it a storyboard, whatever, about you and how you
mm,
interact and your thing, because you have a way of making something that would drive me nuts. You'd be like, it is going to be what's going to be, you know. Those things you just like, I can't control what, certain things. And I have that similar mentality, but it's just the way you go about everything. And I'm like, sometimes you can't just let things go like that, you
I
know.
mean,
But either way,
stuff.
it's
Nature
just
gonna
funny.
take. Yeah, it's gonna take over, man. Let's figure that thing out. It's in
I
my
think
mind, it's figured
I think it would be is I think it would just share that people have the ability to not outwardly show worry, right?
out. Hmm.
I know you internalize a lot of stuff. I know you do. We all do, right?
Hmm.
Um, but you have this way. It's like, you know what? It's in God's hand. We're all like, we sit there and just go, you're out of control. Um,
No,
but
man, because the thing about it is, all right, they say the punch that hurts you is the one you don't see, right? When you think you got it all together, that's the time you should be worried. You know what I'm saying? You can't be, it's like this here, man. We talk about finances and stuff like that and different things, right? And I think, I'm saying, well, okay. 80% of folks' money is tied up in with these people they've never seen. You know what I'm saying? They have no controls. They trust in these people that say they got control over their stuff. You know what I'm saying? Can you
I'm
really
one of
trust
them,
these?
you know.
Yeah, I mean, but hey, anybody you got money, some money invested. But what the heck does that mean? I've seen mugs spend money. Like their investments are gone now. He used it on the ski. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But you got federal agency in place to rectify this. They're not going to immediately give you your money. Okay, don't think that's going to happen. Oh, you lost 250,000. You get it back next week. That's not going to happen, dude. It's going to be a lot of deliberation going on in court. We got to do this. We got to make sure. I mean, you're not going to immediately get your money back. Okay, so you can't be and you can't that amazes me that okay, this dude is just frivolously spending his money. Okay,
Yeah,
but I'm controlling it. I determine how much I'm going to spend. But that money that's over there is just as juicy, in my opinion.
yeah,
That's the other. Because millions of people, thousands of people, I should say, have lost their investments. These dudes put a chart up and says you made $900 this month. It's a chart. It's a
yeah.
chart. You know what I'm saying?
But
You lost. You think that same dude could put a chart up tomorrow, plummeted. You lost all your money because of a darn chart. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? So I was like, you know what? Hey, it is what it is. Whatever makes you sleep at night. It's funny to me. You know what I'm saying? These numbers and graphs and stuff like we got security. Hey, it's Merrill Lynch says this money. You know what I'm saying? You can draw a chart the next day with some arrows pointing down, and it's gone, and it's legal. And you got to accept, hey, I lost all my money in the stock market. You know what I'm saying?
well, the thing is, I don't really
Listen,
know. We don't really know anybody that lost all their money, right? They lost their gains. but
I
they
don't
never
even know
really
anybody
lost
that
the money.
have money like that.
I don't know anybody that's ever lost the money that they actually put into it.
Well, I know there's been trials out there with these dudes out there that has. You're right. I don't know if I don't know the victims because they wasn't in my social. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? They was not like somebody I would hang out with, right? And you're absolutely right. I personally don't know anybody. I can tell you they exist. You know what I'm saying? These mugs exist that has lost,
Mhm.
just like these mugs that make all this money. I don't know any of them. You know what I'm saying? It was like Nancy Pelosi, right? Oh, she's doing insider trading, man. She's made millions. I've never seen her bank account. You know what I'm saying?
Did she
But
really?
did she? Did
You
it
know?
happen? Is that real?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know these people, but I believe the report. I believe Nancy Pelosi has made over her $150,000 salary. She's done quite well. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know, so I'm just saying,
But you
don't.
wonder, that's they've been pushing an app that says make the same. You can put your money in this app and
Yeah.
it does the same. It follows the trade moves of certain people that you know. You look at like AOC, right? She's been a congresswoman for what?
6 years,
It's been
maybe.
probably about 6 years now, I think, since she's
Yeah,
been in
6 to 8.
Congress.
Yeah. Hmm.
And she's worth like $25 million. She was a barmaid or something, run for Congress, got elected. Now she's worth in 6 years $25 million net worth or whatever. I'm like, how does that happen on a salary? What did they make? Like 140, 50,000, 170,000 a year. I don't even know. What we people of this United States are paying these said congressmen.
Yeah. And
Just,
you know, like one of our favorite movies that we talk about, right? Trading Places.
I love that. I love that. And it's
You
so
know what I'm
true,
saying?
right? It's so true that
Now that resonated with
so-called
me.
experts, right? You
Yeah.
took this guy off the street, put him in this fancy environment, and had him doing a job that he had no idea what he was doing, but he was doing the job. And then these two brothers, Mortimer and can't think of the
I
other
never
guy.
can think of the other guy's name.
But either way, they had a bet, $1.
We can change this mug's world.
Yeah, the other guy would turn to crime to get by. To
Using drugs, sleeping with
Mhm.
prostitutes. We can change him and we can take the guy on the street and make him a businessman, upscale type cat. I
Yeah,
bet you can't do that. I bet you we can. And they did it. They successfully changed this mug's world.
yeah. Next thing you know, they're out there trading from illegally trading
Mm.
insider because they got the report and changed it, right? So they knew what to buy and they made millions upon millions. They were rich beyond their wallet, throwing little papers out. I don't know how.
I don't
I
understand
don't
that.
understand how that works, how this little piece of paper and it's showing real time ticker. And I'm like, by them
Yeah.
standing there, okay, so for you, they started real slow. They were buying or selling, buying and selling, whatever. They bought it and then they sold it at cheap or
And
whatever.
supposedly, that's how Wall Street works, man. Supposedly, I've never seen it, but I've seen, some videos of Wall Street and that was just going crazy. I'm like,
Mhm.
how? This looks like chaos to me. These numbers going across some big jumbo thing, and they're like, buy, sell, buy, freeze. I'm like, how? Who's listening to you? Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
how
don't
this
know.
chaotic. It's funny as heck. And I'm throwing
It,
my money into this, giving it to these dudes
yeah,
over
it's
here.
unbelievable, if you ask me. But
We don't know. I don't know enough about it. I gotta be honest. I'm just a simple dude.
yeah.
I
Well,
mean, like, easy.
we got about 9 minutes left.
Dang it,
So
time flies. We was rambling. We
yeah,
also
and
talked about
yeah,
first job, that situation. Minute
yeah.
well,
Well,
this money thing.
we life experiences, right? For a couple old
Hmm.
parts of ourselves, like when we were working as teenagers, young or adolescents, and because when I grew up, where I grew up, you couldn't really have a job that the government would recognize and pull taxes and stuff until you were 16, right? You had to be 16. I had other jobs that I was doing prior to that, but it was all like newspaper or whatever money I did was for tests that I did for other people or whatever, right? The old under the table, if you will, um, jobs. But the minimum wage that I remember was like $3.15, and that was back in like 1981, 82 time frame. And we were talking earlier about. I asked him if he remember what your minimum wage was. You had collaborated what I thought it was. Um,
First said 215, but then you was like,
no,
no,
I
it's like
remember it being
315.
315.
Yeah,
Then it
yeah.
went to, after I think it went to four something after I joined the military. I can't remember.
Hmm.
Um,
But yeah. Yeah, my money, I never saw it. Okay. My mom issued it out to me. She set me up a bank account at
yeah,
Park Avenue Bank, and she's like, your money is going there. Okay, great.
yeah.
That's just for informational purposes. You're gonna
Well,
give me that
I
check.
had to have an account to cash my check. It wasn't like I gave my money to my folks and then they gave me, or I gave my
Right.
parents a check and then I had to have an account as well, which I
Yeah.
managed poorly.
Yeah.
I had no money management skills as a young adult and a teenager. It was just,
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
earned it, I burned it, basically.
Earn and burn. That's what you
Hmm.
was doing, earning and burning it.
Yeah,
Man, you just used to, I mean, it was just natural. It was a natural process. You finally got some rights, okay? And you exercise those rights. You know what I'm saying? Because you
yeah,
never had them before. Hey, I can spend some money. I want that. And then, you learn after being broke, like, shucks, I'm out of money. But then eventually you start learning that I can't spend all my money. You
yeah,
know, I got to be selective in my purchases and
yeah.
all that
Well,
kind of stuff.
I I get my spouse because I married fairly young. I got married when I was 21 when I got married.
Hmm.
So and
Hmm.
my wife was 20 when we married. So but she was way better with money than I was.
Hmm.
And
Some
I
people are
spent
natural like that. I remember
mhm.
her culture was like that, but my
Well,
oldest daughter is like that. She
but
won't spend money.
she had like no money.
Mm.
You know, she was one of
Like if I
she was
had
one
some
of
money,
seven, right?
yeah, if I had some money, I'll show you what to do with it.
Mhm.
I'll show you how to manage it.
Yeah, she was real
Yeah,
good at
that's
it.
cool, man. That's what's up.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
different. It's amazing. Again, back to the wages real quick.
Hmm.
The thing that got me was that people today think about $3.15 was not a lot of money. It was not. It really wasn't then, right? It isn't today, and it wasn't then. But it didn't cost me $3 a gallon for gasoline, right? It was like 60 cents. Yeah,
Hmm. You
65
know,
when I started driving. I remember it being less than that, but
mhm.
at times, yeah.
We were equivalent. We was equivalent to some of these moms coming from a third world country back then. You know what I'm saying? You
Mhm.
went from having no money to having $3.15. You was happy to work. You know what I'm
And
saying? Heck
well,
yeah.
how much of that $3.15 was actually mine, right? I still had to pay state,
1.75.
federal taxes, Medicare, Social Security tax. It was taxed. It wasn't
Was.
much, but in comparison, it still was a high percentage, right? And your
Yeah.
315 actually by the time I got to you might have been 250.
And
you
so
know.
yeah, but that was way better than zero
Yeah, yeah,
because
absolutely.
you come from zero.
Yeah.
You had no money. That was me, zero. I went from zero to 250.
Hmm.
Heck yeah. Okay, I had no freaking money. Now I do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I still was living with my parents. So anytime I wanted a Big Mac combo, I could buy that sucker. Mom, what we having for dinner? We're having rice and chicken. Nope, not me.
I
I'm
gotta
going to
work.
McDonald's.
I gotta go to work. Yeah.
Eat this food that I cooked.
Yeah. Well, when I worked at McDonald's, I had a steady, that we got a pretty good discount. We still paid for our food. It wasn't free.
Well, mine was virtually free.
But when I'd be working an 8-hour
Ernest,
shift,
take
we'd
out the
have a lunch.
trash.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Like, why did 4 Whoppers in the trash can? They didn't
Well, they
want
were they were act they weren't we couldn't give them to customers. So.
and it would happen because somebody, all right, they say, I want a Whopper, hold the pickles, right? You put
Mhm.
pickles on that mug, it's ruined. You know what I'm saying? The customer come back to the window, you put pickles on this Whopper. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it
So
came back.
it came back. So we had a thing that was called waste, and that's where it
Oh, we
went,
did
right?
too. Yeah, we did too.
Now,
If
as
they,
ignorant as I was, they could have put cocaine on that bad boy, right? You
mhm.
know what I'm saying? Unbeknownst to me, hey, it's a free Whopper. I can eat it. You don't know what happened to that Whopper. You know what I'm saying? Or sometimes it might not make it to the customer. They'll see that you didn't mark it. See, we had to mark the Whoppers on
My,
the wrapper with a
my
grease pen.
dog, real quick,
Yeah.
dog, turn this around, came in and she's looking at me like she just run in here like, hey, hey,
Your
yeah,
time is up.
she's like, your time is up. Where
You
is
went
it?
on there.
Our time is up. We're down to I guess about
Yeah.
out of time here. So
So
I
yeah,
don't know.
man. So yeah, I get it, man. Just remember, hey, man, we was just happy to have the 250. Okay.
Yeah, we were. You're absolutely right. But anyways, and on that note, down there in the comments, right? What's your first job and your experience in life and what you think about things, and if you have any show ideas, something that we do, you know, drop us a line down there. Supposedly it helps the algorithms. Not that I'm not worried about that, but it would be nice to see you guys' comments because I know our viewership's dropped off a little bit. I think people are tired of listening to us, which is fine. I got that. But old Bug over here shared it out there on Facebook, and those that do watch are family, friends, and just people want to hear us ramble on what we think. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Indeed. Yes, sir.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great week, and God willing,
Yes, well,
We'll see you next Sunday.
that's my dude right there. Okay.
Yeah, man. That's my dog. That's
Yeah,
my
we good.
dog.
This is
That's my
dog.
dog right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought I was your dog. Yes, your
Yeah.
dog. Okay, dog. I hear you, dog.
All right.
Be good, man.
Until next time.